Guys, chapter 5, acting. Been looking forward to this one. I'm very interested to see if any of you guys actually have any kind of experience with this. But let's just start with we all have some experience with this, I dare say. Now, maybe you were the unique child who did not do this, but most of us as children, and we encourage this because it's educational, will play, pretend. We play house, we play cops and robbers. You use maybe action figures or dolls to imitate life and create stories. These are rudimentary puppets in a way. You're using them as a vehicle in order to tell a story. And I think in the early years of elementary, one of the most fun things I like hearing my kids say to each other and their friends is, let's pretend that blah, 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 blah. And it can go anywhere from there. And their friends don't even question it. They just go, okay. And they run with it because that creative play, that imagining what it will be like to be older, to be in different situations, is so healthy and it's fun. And it's part of the growing up process to imagine yourself as older and in different situations. So we've all acted to some level or degree. And it starts very, very young, that need to imitate life around you. So we've talked about the script, what is acting, different kinds of plays. So now we're talking about the artists that get on stage and start doing the work. Now, I've directed several shows, and one of the things that I constantly tell my performers is that yes, I have a vision. I 100% have a vision, an idea of what I want this to look like. I am going to guide you through that process. However, in the end, what makes it a collaborative art is that it's not going to be exactly the way it is in my head. They, as performers and artists, are going to bring something to the stage, to their characters, that is unique, different, completely and only them. And that's beautiful, and that's what makes it art. It can be frustrating when it's not exactly what you had in your head, but if you can let go of that control, it can be truly amazing to see what other people can bring to the plate. So now, performance responsibilities. I like that quote: to make the audience believe that I am the character I am pretending to be. Oversimplified but good, a good definition. Some of the things that they have to be responsible for: create and project the inner life of a character, speak clearly, project, move on stage, wear costumes with poise, convey the intentions of the director and the playwright, and to interact with the other characters on stage. These are all things that the actor themselves are trying to balance, and it's a lot. If you've not done it before, it is a lot to constantly be thinking about. And depending on the show that you're doing, those may fluctuate a little bit, but they're pretty standard and pretty typical. Don't forget to submit this right here. All right, so challenges to the actor. Acquiring the skills, mastering a craft. Yes, we all started off as children, playing, pretend. That is a far cry from being an actual actor where it is an art. It is something that takes great skill and commitment, energy to do. To make that character believable and integrate these two skills with your credibility. It's no fun to watch something where you don't believe somebody. It's awkward. When you see somebody get on stage and they drop character or they mess up and get emotional and can't get back, it's very hard and awkward for the audience. I mean, you've got some heartless people that find joy in that, I suppose. But for the most part, it's an awkward, strange feeling, and it's not at all what you pay for a ticket to go see. So taking classes, getting training on how to be an actor is essential. Taking an assessment. This one's difficult. Looking honestly at yourself as a person. Theater has to reflect life, and we all look, act, think, feel differently. But that also means that there are certain roles that you're going to probably play and certain roles that you're not. Now, I truly love that right now there's a big movement about gender bending and not sticking to typecasts, going outside of your traditional. I love that we're starting to see more of that. However, an actor does have to look and think, okay, if I'm going to get work, what are things that I am good at that I can do that are specific to me? So taking an assessment of yourself is very, very important as an actor. There's another activity there. Again, we talked about getting that training. And then there's performance. If you've never auditioned or been on stage, it can be terrifying. It really is. I have seen grown adults just burst out in tears and run off stage in the middle of an audition. I've seen it happen in the middle of shows. It is exhausting. It's hard. you're literally putting yourself up there to be judged. And it's very, very, very difficult. And people that can do it, and there's people that can't do it, that have no interest in doing it. And you may be one of those people who's like, I have no intention of getting on that stage. No, love to go watch myself a show or a movie or a play or whatever, but I have no interest in getting up there myself. Know thyself. Know what brings you joy. And if it doesn't bring you joy, don't worry about it. But it's good to have this understanding of what those artists are going through, right? Some generalized understanding and some empathy is always good. All right, so again, we talked about the body. Now, some actors are just actors. I mean, I don't mean just actors, but that is what they do. It's primarily act. Some are going to need to be able to sing. They're going to be able to dance. The more skills that you bring, the better for your resume as an actor. So if you know how to rock wall climb, if you have karate abilities, if you're a good driver, if you can ride horses, any skills, because again, art reflects life. So the more you bring to the table, the more characters you can do. Knowing your physical limitations, we talked about that. You know, if you've got somebody who can't walk, it's going to be a little more difficult to do some fighting scenes. Not undoable. We've got people in wheelchairs who, play basketball, that dance, do couples dancing, do all kinds of stuff. It's just going to look a little different, and that's fine. Looking different's great. The control of your body, that will take a lot of great control to be able to do a lot of things that are demanding on stage. If you're up there and you don't have control, you put everybody at risk, including the audience and everyone that you act with and work with. And body language, being able to speak without speaking. When we're sitting, if we were in a class together and I could look at you, I can tell pretty easily by looking out into the classroom at you guys. Are you slumped in the chair? Are you, falling asleep, drooling, or are you engaged and looking me in the eye and nodding? These are nonverbals. Can you do the nonverbals on stage so that you're selling the character even when you're not speaking? That's where you really see a great divide in community actors, the ones that can do that and the ones that can't. So the voice, quality voice. Can you understand it? Is it disciplined? Does it have strength? Especially in live performances, you're looking at anywhere from 3 to 9 shows a week, and that's a lot. Do you have the strength to get through that? Versatility, can you do accents? Can you fluctuate your voice up and down? And then that comes back to the control of being able to take different parts of your voice and be able to have command over it. I do voiceover work, and it's really entertaining because when I do this, I usually get sent videos or audios of other people who do commercials or documentaries, and this is the style that they want. So being able to hear that, work with my voice, find where the ups and downs go, how to shape the vowels, and be able to present something similar to what they've sent me. Obviously, it's going to be uniquely me, but giving the producers and the directors what they're looking for. So that's where voice comes into play. You see a lot of that with voice acting. And I think some of the most fun TikToks and whatnot out there are people that can do all kinds of cool accents. There's like over 30 dialects in Great Britain alone. So the mind, again, it's hard to get into a character, become somebody else, and then get out of it. And be able to keep your sense of self, of who you are, while still giving yourself over to being somebody else. You need a pretty strong mind to do that. We do see a lot of people in Hollywood where over time that strain is just too much. That plus all of the pressure of such a job can get to you. So keeping your mind trained is extremely important. I apologize for my allergies. Okay. Oh, exaggerated, stereotyping, overacting. Love it. It's the safe, easy way to go. When you get a bunch of people that maybe aren't into acting, overacting is where they go. They're thinking so much about getting that character across that they go too far, and it's not honest. Now, sometimes people do this really well, and people really enjoy it. Will Ferrell is a big one for that sort of acting, just really, really over the top. He's famous for it. He does it very well. But it works within the context of whatever movie or show or skit he's doing. It has to work within the context, whereas a lot of times people just go way too far. So that goes into the projection. You've got to be able to project the character. You got to be able to be the character, and that takes research as well in order to avoid doing the overacting. Answering your own questions, I love this because as a director, I can get up there and show my actors where I want them to go, I can give them examples of how I want them to move, a feeling that I'm going for, but I can't answer every single question, and I certainly can't get up there and do their job for them. I need my actors to be thinking to themselves, who is this character? Why do they do what they do? What are some of their ticks? What are some of their triggers? What are things that make them unique? How can I convey this and be honest about it? How can I relate to this? One of my favorite actors, Meryl Streep, used to say that I don't try to become that character. I learn who that character is, and then I find myself inside of them. And I think that is so brilliant. That's how she did Devil Wears Prada, where people really wanted her to be very commanding and yelling and all of this. She took a different approach and made her character in Devil Wears Prada so quiet, with just an eyebrow. She could she could set a whole building ablaze. Her making her character more quiet actually gave her character more power, and that was a unique idea to her. So, how to be an actor? What's your style? We talked a little about that. What do you enjoy doing? You got to know yourself and what you enjoy doing. Presentation, Greeks to present. The stage has changed. We went from doing things on hillsides with the Greeks and kind of actually building out stages that were actually tilted so that towards the audience it was lower and the stage literally went up, which is why we have the terms downstage and upstage. That was literally from the Greeks because that's the way they angled the stage so that more people could see the action. Kind of made sense. Then we went to indoor theater, but it had candlelight, and obviously we had no microphones and only candles for light. Then we went into having some electric light, and things just keep progressing, and to where the actors had to change with the physical stage that they've had to work with. Vocal power and exaggeration. We see and we hear. These are the two prominent things that we see, that we interact with, the two senses when we walk in. Now, we also are dealing with smell and we're dealing with, touch of this chair and things around us. But as far as the play goes, those are the most powerful ones you see. So being able to project as an actor, to be understood. Yes, we have microphones, but actors can't just lean on that. It won't work that way. You have to project anyway, or the microphone is just taking it forward. It can't make up for an unpowerful voice. I like this idea of natural. So what is natural to you? I enjoy as an actor playing funny parts. So I like being the comic relief, the side character. I was Tanya in Mamma Mia. I was Matilda's mother in Matilda the musical. These are funny, exaggerated, sassy characters that I really enjoy. I just went to an audition for a chorus line. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there is a character that's perfect for that. And her name is Sheila, and I put on my audition sheet I was going for Sheila. Ended up not getting that part. I got the lead, which I'm very excited about, but the lead is a very good dancer who tried to make it in Hollywood, failed, has come back and is begging basically for a job. That's not a funny part, and that's not my comfort zone, but it's very natural because I'm older. I chose to have a family. I chose to have children. I chose to get my education, as opposed to trying to make it in Hollywood or New York or anywhere else. So, and now that I'm 40, I'm indulging in going back to doing what I truly love. So I get that feeling of rejection and begging to be able to have a chance to be doing what I love. So I connect with that. It's very natural for me. It's going to make it more raw than I'm used to going for. But that's the joy of acting, isn't it? To be able to be real. And that gets us into these acting methods. So the Doll Star, the system of expression, creating emotion, or characterization. This school focused on the face, head, torso. So you would have a bank, okay? You would make a list of emotions and a bank of like, this is how I portray these emotions. And these things will help it become, real for me. Then you've got the Stanislavski method, which is more of like your magic if. So this school of acting is more honest, and it's exhausting, frankly, because you have to truly embody and make it real on the inside. And then you get into the point where you have to be able to bring it forward. So steps in the Stanislavski approach is you got to relax. You got to let go of everything else that's going on because we all come in with our stuff, but you got to let it go and relax. Concentrate and observe. So watching the world, observing what's going on, finding the importance of specifics, the minutia, the tiny things, and noting them. Making those your internal truth, giving yourself over to them, and pulling from things, the magic if, that's like pulling from things in your past that invoke those ideas and those representations and making them truly real. It's an exhausting process, but that is art, isn't it? Other things that you should be aware of in the script: your actions. Usually, a lot of scripts are telling you your movements. That tells you a lot about your character. Your through line of a role. Look at the lines. What do they teach you about your character? Ensemble playing, it's not just you. You sometimes you've got one man or two man shows, but most of the time you've got another group of actors, your ensembles, what we call them, and working with them to create your character and what your character means to them. What truth does that tell you? Is your character aware of that truth? And of course, back to the voice, body, and mind, all very important. All right, and I talked about this, the inner versus the outer side of acting. So inside, I may believe that I am, a mouse. I have the emotions of a mouse. But that doesn't mean anything to the audience unless I can show that on the outside. So not only do I have to think like a mouse, I've got to figure out how a mouse interacts with the world and how I'm going to do that physically, and then combine those two aspects of acting. So judging performances, something that actors are constantly trying to do is improve what they do, and they do that by sharing with other actors and their experiences, and watching each other. I had a great theater teacher who told me the best way you're going to be a better actor: read, 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 read. And I would read, had to read so many plays, and then watch, go, 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 and see. And I take my kids to every show I can possibly get them to because I know they're learning every single time. We did Midsummer Night's Dream here at the university last fall. I brought my 11-year-old to it. Didn't think a whole lot about it, but I thought a lot about the play. The fairies and the spirits in Midsummer Night's Dream had a very quirky, jerky. They would just sort of move, and that was kind of their way of showing that they were ethereal and different to the rest of the characters, and I thought that physicality was really interesting. My kids and I talked about it. Well, my daughter was in Christmas Carol later, and she played Want out of Want and Ignorance in the Christmas Carol, and she was the creepiest because she kept giving these little jerks when she was walking around Scrooge, and the director was like, your daughter might be the creepiest thing I've ever seen, and I've been watching this show for 15 years. So I'm like, she got that from the fairies in Midsummer Night's Dream. So you learn just by watching and taking notes and relaying that to other places. Acting in the world today is hard. I'm actually represented by the Blanco Talent Agency. I get auditions and I send them out there. It's a numbers game. It's a lot of work. And it's not the best pay when you're getting started. Can go places, but and we are getting more and more jobs out there because the internet and there's so many people making movies and short films and series and sitcoms, commercials. They're everywhere. We're inundated by them. Every time we pick up our phone, we see more actors. So there's lots of work out there. There's also a lot of people that want that work. So it's a very, very competitive field. So here's your Chapter 5 quiz. Make sure and turn that in. We do have an assignment for this week. Thanks for listening to my ramblings, and hopefully I get to learn more about you guys and if you've done any acting in your past.